Welcome back to Post-Quest Podcasting's SideQuest. It's the individual living here with what is apparently the final episode of FLCL Grunge, as FLCL Shoegaze will premiere at midnight next Saturday.
I'll get my kit dry.
Interesting that they decided to go with a 3-episode arc as opposed to the previous established 6 episodes, but that means that Grunge has come to an end. So, what are my thoughts? I continue to be baffled by the idea of Grunge. It decided to tell one sequence of events from 3 different perspectives, which is a fresh take and is an interesting way to kind of flesh out a story and add layers to it piece by piece, as I mentioned last week. But the problem was, the story went nowhere. Basically, it was a weird retelling of the basic events of the original FLCL, but without any of the character. A few emotional beats, which were good, because especially the last two, episodes 2 and 3, those did kind of give a nice little heartwarming story for those characters. But as to overall plot, there was none. There were characters that made absolutely no sense of them being in there, like Amaral, for instance. Purely on nostalgia strings being tugged, because he as a character had few lines and absolutely no purpose in this story. There was no reason for him to be here. He changed no events. They could have erased him completely and nothing would have changed. And I wouldn't even say that there were arcs for these characters, but basically the fake out main character, Shin, well, he's pretty useless. I mean, there's nothing that happens specifically to him. He's literally a plot device used by Haruko to pull out a weapon when she needs it. It felt like the themes, I'm unsure of what the themes of this particular sub-season were. I guess, was it accepting your fate? I don't know what it was, because it either was not well developed, or perhaps I just need to rewatch it. But you know, there was just so much missing from it. While it's clear that there was just not enough story for 3 episodes, or certainly not for 6. So yeah, there's just, you're left with some questions. You're left at the end of it feeling like perhaps the real main character was Orinoco, but she's the only one who we get some real connections with. I mean, you could connect with Shinari, but then his quote-unquote, air quotes, arc goes nowhere. It's just, we get his backstory, but then he just becomes, you know, a fighting machine, basically. And then at least Shinari has a future, which, it's strange. It's very strange. Very strange. I'm entirely unsure as to why they felt that this particular idea was good enough to make a season out of. If this is what they chose, I shudder to think at what they didn't actually decide to produce and what they left on the cutting room floor, because it must have been worse than this. But on the bright side, Shoegaze, at least in its trailer, looks to be exactly what the doctor ordered. It looks to have that raw adolescent energy that FLCL had originally. It looks to be, especially from this preview anyway, doing a good job of not having needless callbacks to the originals that go nowhere. There were so many, well, not so many, but there were a number of clear homages during Grunge back to the original, especially in the 3rd episode, with literal lines being repeated by Kari Walgren, the voice actress for Haruko. Haruko does the same thing that she did to Naota in episode 1 of the original. Then there's the same shot that she used from episode 5 of the original where Naota's head projection comes out and it blows up Mamimi's skirt. They recreated that. But why? Haruko's interaction with Amaral, exactly the same. You know, small. You know, it just... I don't know if at some point they're going to try to explain what appears to be this multiverse. But if that's what they're trying to do to connect these stories, because if not, then why is Haruko being Haruko in multiple different worlds where with similar events? Why is Amaral there looking exactly the same with the same fake eyebrows if it's not connected to the original? I don't know. All of this stuff might have been fine in a vacuum, but this isn't a vacuum. These are sequels to the original. And as we can see now, while at least in the previews, they seem to have avoided some of that direct sequelitis. We are seeing what at the very least is clearly Kana from FLCL Alternative showing up in Shoegaze. Is that meaning that these worlds are connected? Is it the same Kana and she's now grown up? Or are they just reusing, character designs and voice actors just to kind of screw with us? I don't know, but at the very least, Shoegaze looks to be the best out of these two. I'm not sure what the point of grunge really was. I'm sure in 6 months from now, perhaps when it's all become clear, there'll be a very comprehensive YouTube video that'll explain it. But right now, there are very few answers available. But I am extremely excited for Shoegaze next week, and it looks to be what we would be looking for in a Fooly Cooly sequel. The only thing that has me a little already questioning is the fact that this will likely only be 3 episodes as well, which could mean that it'll be a very concentrated story, or it could mean that it will just not have enough time to develop a proper story or proper characters. So we will see which one of those eventualities comes to fruition. Until then, don't forget to post the quest. See you at the quest point.